Clay, what got you into MMA after wrestling? How did you make that transition?
Right. So there was a lot of things I didn't accomplish in the sport of wrestling. I set my goals high, and I didn't achieve them. So there was a lot of stones left unturned, and it's safe to say that because I didn't have much success in high school or college, there was still that desire, that burn inside it. Just, it was upsetting, man. And I knew there was things I wanted to accomplish. So, like I said, I was on a team that won a 2001 national championship in junior college. We had a stellar team, and I got to really learn about the sport of wrestling even more by being around so many dominant wrestlers. I got to wrestle with some of my brother was on my team, Jared Carlin, one of my best friends, my buddy Wes, Nate Martinez, from Illinois. He's a couple times state champ, and his brother Israel Martinez. I got to wrestle with him afterwards, who I helped him coach at his wrestling club. Those guys taught me about wrestling and how to, I grew leaps and bounds in junior college. But I always wanted to wrestle at a university, and so I've told this story a bunch of times, man. How I started fighting. It all started at a strip club, man. I was uh, I was going to watch my brother. He made his professional debut in end of July in 2003 at a place called the promotion was called the Silverback Classic. And I had just got off a fishing boat. I was working on a commercial fishing trawler in the Bering Sea. So before the show, The Deadliest Catch started, 1 year before, I was working out on the Bering Sea as a greenhorn, man. I did 2 3 month contracts, and I heard that my brother was doing this. This is back when they still called it NHB, which stood for No Holds Barred back then. And came back to watch my brother, in the summertime in the Midwest. He'd make his pro debut. So a bunch of buddies of mine, my dad, we took like three carloads, 3 truckloads of vehicles down there. And we're driving, we're going to Ottawa, Illinois. We're talking like Hodunk, Central Illinois. There's nothing around except cornfields as far as I can see, 360 degrees. It's wild. And we're just driving, me and my buddies, and we get to the back in the MapQuest days, we got this thing all unfolded, and we're driving down this country road, and we see this big billboard off in the distance. And as we get closer and closer, you can see like around the perimeter of it, you see like sparkles, and we got closer and closer. And next thing you see, the Silver Slipper Saloon, and then you saw a silhouette of a lady on the side, and we're like, "Holy smokes! This fight's at a strip club. This is gonna be awesome, man!" So
That's a
yeah,
good
we all,
surprise, especially in the middle of
yeah,
nowhere, Illinois. Middle of
yeah.
nowhere, Illinois. Clay, I'm from Indiana, so I know exactly what you're talking about. Like that shit.
You know how it is, man. Exactly.
Yeah.
You're driving around those cornfields, and if it's not the wind turbines, man, I mean, it's just cornfield as far as the eye can see, man. So we all got out of our vehicles, man. We were high fiving each other, and it's hot out. It's 95 in Midwest summer, which you guys know about, man. And yeah, we walk in. We got our tickets. I remember my buddy still got the ticket stub. It says the Silverback Classic. It was like $8 admission, and we walk in, and some guy gets on the microphone. He goes, "Yeah," and he's got this hillbilly voice. He goes, "We need a volunteer fighter for anywhere from, I don't know, 155 to 175 pounds. You think you got the balls enough? Come on up to the front table and sign up." And I looked at my buddies, and I said, I gave him the ticket stub back. I said, "Yo, that's for me, man." And my buddy's like, "He sure is." And I walked right up there, and I signed my name. I walked up, and the guy's like, "Who are you?" I'm like, "I'm Clay Guida. My brother Jason Guida is the main event. He's fighting Adrian Serrano, who fought back in like UFC 8." And I'm signing the bio out, and the guy's like, "Oh, cool." He's like, "You got permission to do this, young man?" I'm like, "From who, man? I'm 21 years old, 22 years old. Who would I need permission from?" He's like, "Well, it was a non-sanctioned event. They shouldn't even been throwing this thing." Um, so he's like, "You should probably get permission from your brother, get okayed by some of your dad, whatever." So I'm like, "All right, cool." I go back. I asked my brother. I was like, "Yo, Jay, I'm gonna go fight this dude." He's like, "What?" I'm like, "Yeah, they need a volunteer fighter for this, for this fight. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna wrestle this dude down and kick his butt, whatever, wrestle him, put him in a half Nelson or something. That's all I knew was wrestling, dude." And my brother's like, "No, dude, it ain't like that." He's like, "You get kicked and you get punched in the face, dude. This is not like wrestling." He's like, "If you want, when we're done, I'll take you. We'll go train someday and see if this is even for you." I was like, "Yeah, yeah, whatever." I just walked off, took off, went over by my dad. I'm like, I'm sorry, I went over by my brother's coaches, Joey Gilbert, who was the first 4-time Illinois state champ. Guy was amazing. He was All-American in Michigan. just an absolute legend. He was my brother-in-law's first fight coach. He still has Gilbert Grappling going on 25 years or something like that. Um, got fighters all over the country, all over the world. And I'm like, hey, Coach Joey Gilbert, how you doing? He's like, who are you? I'm like, oh, I'm Jason's brother. He's like, oh, you're the crazy kid that was on the boat in Alaska, right? I'm like, yeah, I just got back last week. I want to do this fighting shit. Excuse my language, guys. He's uh he's like, all right, did you get permission from Jay? I'm like, no. He said no. I'm like, he's like, I can't, approve it unless your brother says so, unless he says it's all right. I'm like, all right, cool. See you later, coach. I go up to my dad. I'm like, yo, dad, I'm gonna go fight this dude in there. They need a volunteer fighter. He's like, all right, you need your ass kicked, son. Go for it. So I finally,
Good man.
I finally annoyed him. I annoyed my brother enough. I went up there and signed up. And literally an hour later, um, I was about to jump in there. And I remember I was big into skateboarding back then, so I used to wear like the sweatbands, the armbands on your hands, the Spitfire ones and the DVS ones. So I had those on both my forearms. I had a bandana around my head, and I had wrestling shoes on. I had the old Cale Sanderson Asics, the red, white, and blue Olympic ones that he had when he won the Olympics in 2000 or 2004. And I looked like the Ultimate Warrior, bandana rocking, wristbands all over myself, and I jump in there, and I'm fighting this dude who's got 8 fights. He's got 8 pro fights. I've never fought before, except maybe in a couple bars, maybe in a couple backyard brawls. And so we're standing there about to start the fight, and I'm in a wrestling stance. Is all I know. And this guy's in a proper more kickboxing MMA stance. He stands straight up, and he's looking at me. I can see in his face like, is this dude serious? Like, what is wrong with this guy? And they're like, okay, here we go. Boom, bell, whistle blows, and we come out. And then I kind of stood up. I saw what he was doing. I was like, all right, cool. So then I remember I was growing up. I wanted to do karate. I always wanted to kick someone, man. So I stood up, and I remember I kicked him in the leg. I was like, this stuff's too easy, man. And we're moving around. And next thing you know, he throws a kick just like when Diego Sanchez kicked me in the mouth. This dude kicked me right across the teeth, and my whole mouth went numb. And it didn't knock me over, but I just remember exactly what my brother said before. An hour earlier, he's like, "This ain't no joke, Clay. You get kicked and you get punched in the face, man." And I was like, "Holy crap!" So my wrestling instincts kicked in. I shot a double leg. I took him down, and so he swept me right there. And I didn't know, he rolled me over. So in wrestling, you go to all fours, which is the referee's position. So I'm in the corner of my brother, Coach Joey Gilbert, and his brother Danny Gilbert, John Gorecki, all my coaches from Gilbert Grappling back in the day. And they're yelling, go to your back, go to your back. I'm looking at him like, no way, man, I'm a wrestler. I ain't going to my back. I'm not trying to get pinned. I'm not trying to give it up back points. And next thing you know, the dude jumps to my back, and he puts in a rear naked choke, and, I tap out or whatever. That I kind of realized, so jumped up, high five the guy. We had a good laugh. My coaches jump in the ring. My brother gives me a beer. He's like, put this on your face, dummy. He's like, all right, you ready to take this shit seriously now? I was like, absolutely, man. So that was kind of it, man. It all started then. That's when I kind of got that buzz. That's when I got that, that college, fire that lit up inside to keep competing. So like I said, when it all started at strip club, man, and that's 21 years ago. And yeah, we never looked back since, man.
That is freaking awesome. And what makes the story even better is that you were a greenhorn on a boat in the Bering Sea, which for those who've obviously caught the show, that is no freaking joke. And then you roll in to some podunk strip club in middle of nowhere, Illinois, and sub in on no notice, even though you've never fought in your life. That's freaking awesome, man. What a good story. And while it's a bit humorous, like it's also, I think, it validates like the mentality you've had, in your career, right? You signed up, no hesitation. You said, fuck it, let's go. And that's why you've had the career you've had, in my opinion. Like that, whatever is innate in you to make you make that jump with no hesitation, with no fear, that trait has carried you, man. So, I mean, that's freaking awesome to hear that story. I'm fired up.
Yeah, for sure. And you know what? Like I said, had I done it differently, who knows what I've done if because most guys, they train, then they fight. They train for 3, 6 months, a year, and then they're like, okay, I'm ready to fight. Who knows? Had I gone that route, who knows if we'd be doing this podcast today? Who knows if we'd be doing this interview? You know what I mean? I might not have liked it. I might have thought about it too much, or maybe I wouldn't have enjoyed the training. I'm sure I would have just because of the wrestling aspect that jujitsu brings, the grappling, things like that. But I think this the spontaneity of it, man. It was like, all right, here we go. We always take on challenges head on, and that's I think what we've always been built on is don't shy away from a challenge. Just take the sucker and knock that wall down. See what's on the other side of it. And I think that was kind of like you said, kind of by accident. I tell people, yeah, I started fighting by accident, but was it really by accident? I think there was something inside of us. We were meant to entertain people. I was meant to be in sports in some facet in my life, and who knew it would still be continuing almost 20 years later in the sport of mixed martial arts and wrestling combined.